Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This video is going to be a follow-up to the last video I did, which was the realities of cheap housing here in the Philippines. This video is going to be quite a bit different for a couple of reasons. So before we really get started, first off, the reason that I'm using this video format, this is the web camera that I'm recording using my computer. The reason I want to do this is to test this out and see how viable this method of recording videos is, just in case my other camera completely dies out. I still want to try and keep putting out videos, and I just want to make sure that as a backup that this is going to work out to be able to do that. So this isn't the normal method that I'm going to use. After this video, usually when I record videos, it's going to be with the other camera. So that's why I'm using this camera, why the video and everything looks different. It's using a webcam. Second thing is, I don't usually do like follow-up videos. All the videos that I've done in the past, usually it's only a dozen, maybe 2 dozen comments that I would need to respond to on a video. And, you know, videos might get a couple dozen views. Some of the videos got maybe a few hundred views. That last video I did, though, totally unexpected. At this point, it's had like over 10,000 views. There's a ton of comments, and I've been trying to respond to just a bunch of them. But the thing is, a lot of people are bringing up some of the same comments, and I think it would be easier to do this video to kind of respond to a lot of those comments, just all kind of like a blanket. I did make a couple of notes here just in some random order to kind of go off of, but that's the purpose of this video, is to respond to some of the comments and clarify some things, because it looks like that video didn't quite go the way that I was expecting it to, which I haven't done videos in over 2 years. It's been like 2.5 years since I've done any videos. I'm not really used to this thing anymore. So this is kind of something to jump into. So first thing is language. A lot of people, well, not a lot, but there have been a few people that have mentioned that the profanity that I was using in that video was a bit excessive, and that turned them off. They didn't want to really watch the video and stuff because of the profanity and stuff. And I just want to kind of explain, one, why it was like that, and what I'm going to be doing from this point forward. So typically when I am recording videos, I'm talking to the camera. I don't see a person, I just see my camera. And to make me more comfortable when I'm recording these videos, trying to be open, honest, and just, you know, reality. It's not bullshit, it's not scripted, it's not rehearsed. It's just me trying to explain things to help people out. I'm not doing this as clickbait. I'm not trying to get likes and subscribes and views. I mean, the more views that the videos get is okay, but that's not the main thing I'm trying to go for. I'm just trying to put out the information so that the people that need it can get it. And if it helps people out, that's good. That's what it's trying to go for. But I mean, just so many people that are watching this. The thing is, when I'm talking to the camera, I'm kind of, it's like I'm talking to a friend of mine, not to just a random stranger. And the problem with that is, when I am talking with my friends, people I've known for 20, 30 or more years, that I'm more familiar with, I'm comfortable with, I know them, they know me, the type of conversation, the dialogue, the language, just the attitude that I have with those people is completely different than the conversation style I would have with just a random stranger, like somebody you would meet on the street or in a grocery store or something like that. And that is the mistake that I made in the last video, is I recorded the video as if I'm talking to somebody that I've known for 30 years. So I was a bit more open with the language and things like that. I should have been recording that video as if I'm talking to an audience of people that I don't know and that you don't know me. I also had to realize that a lot of things that I talked about in the video doesn't really make as much sense if you don't know my background. And a lot of the people that are watching my video obviously have never seen any of my other videos. They don't know my situation financially, medically, or any of that kind of stuff. They don't know when I came here, how I came here, the situation. They don't understand any of that because that wasn't part of my video. So they kind of maybe got the wrong idea, um, or whatever. I'm not going to be filtering myself. That was a concern that my wife, friends, people have said, is that if I drop my language down, reduce the profanity, I'm filtering myself and I'm not being completely honest about who I am. But that's not it. I see it as there's two different ways you have conversations with people. There's conversation style of people that you know, and the conversation style with people you don't know. You are mostly people that I don't know, and that is how I need to make my content, is just to keep that in mind. So going forward, I am going to try and keep that in mind, so that the language is not going to be as bad as it was in that other video. So if anybody was offended by that, that was not the intent. It was just had a lot of things built up, a lot of stress, a lot of just, yeah, problems here, and a lot of that came out in that video. So that's not what other videos are going to be like going forward. One of the other things is people are going on about the housing prices. I don't know where you live, but the prices. Okay, look, I moved to the Philippines in 2020. Okay, early 2020. This is right before COVID hit. This is before the massive influx of illegal immigrants in the U.S. and all that kind of stuff with the open borders bullshit that we're dealing with over there now. There was some of that coming into the country at the time, but not nearly like it is right now. So back then in 2020, the market, the housing prices, wasn't retarded. It wasn't like it is now. Now, obviously, I haven't lived there since then. I haven't looked up prices for rent and all that. But from what everybody is telling me is that the prices have gone crazy, doubled or even tripled in prices in certain places. And just finding apartments or houses or anything that's available isn't that easy. It's all supply and demand. There's only so many apartments that are available, even with all these governments and private companies and everything building up housing to accommodate everyone. There's still a limited amount of housing, and there's a lot of people that still need it. You've got all your citizens, your legal residents that are looking for housing, but then the government is paying the housing for all these illegals that are coming in. So the housing market is just, it's not looking good right now. So prices have gone crazy. So when I'm talking about prices for an apartment that would have cost $1,000, I'm talking about 2020 pre-dumbass prices, before all this other crap happened, before the prices went stupid. These are the prices that I saw places going for back then, which was like 4.5 years ago. Totally different than now. I'm not talking about the prices now. The other thing is, the apartment that I was in a small town, right? It's like 22,000 population, so it's not a huge city. So for me, where I was on the outskirts of town. It was a quieter community. It was farther away from any of the colleges or shopping or downtown or anything like that. There really wasn't anything out there. So the prices in my area weren't that expensive. The other thing is, I'm a disabled veteran. I have a limited fixed income. So I was on a housing assistance program from the VA called HUD-VASH. It's basically HUD, the housing assistance, but it's for the veterans that are going to be homeless or whatever like that. So the reason why my rent was only around 600 instead of like 750 is probably because in order for them to be able to rent it to me on that program, they had to keep the price within a certain point. So maybe I was paying less than I should have been. Maybe it should have been 750 instead of 600. whatever. But that wasn't the point. I'm not trying to finick the little, prices dollar by dollar. I'm just trying to compare things relatively of something that's going to cost you a certain amount of money in the US, and then you figure the size of the same thing here in the Philippines. Yeah, it's cheaper price wise, but it's more than just size that you're looking at. It's just everything else, the infrastructure, everything that goes with your housing. That's the point that I was trying to make is when you just look at size and you're thinking just the size and it's cheaper here, yay, 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 let's go, let's move there. You have to look at everything else that comes with it. And it's when you're paying for housing in the US, it's not just the actual house that you're living in, it's everything that comes with it. And that's something you're not going to have here. So you're not just looking at changing your country, it's everything that comes with the housing too that you're not getting. One of the other things is I get a couple of those troll people that are like, hey, if you don't like it, go home. Well, that ain't happening. Obviously, I came here for a certain reason. Again, if you didn't watch my early videos, you wouldn't understand the reason why I came here. But I didn't come here out of choice of retirement and, okay, I've got money and I'm just going to go and relax and retire and all that. I came here at basically life and death situation. It was come here, see if things work out. If not, I'm out. It's time to check out. I quit. Okay. If I didn't move here, that's what would have happened back in the US. It would have been that's it. Game over. I don't want to play anymore. I'm done. So coming here was life or death. So that's why I'm here on such a limited income. I'm making do with the money that I do have, which is not much. But I'm still alive. And I got lucky. I found somebody that I care about. We love each other. We got married. We had a kid. So now I've got a family. It's just not possible to go move somewhere else. Even if I had the money, moving back to the US doesn't really look like something I'd want to do, at least not right now. There are other reasons for it, but just financially, there is no go home. So, yeah, fuck off. Sorry, but that's the best thing I can think of. You want to come in and troll my channel or whatever, hey, you're clicking on my video, you're watching it, you're helping my analytics, whatever. I'm always open to negative feedback, constructive criticism. But if you're just going to come in and be an asshole, go watch another channel, go back to whatever. But hey, you want to leave your comments, watch the video, fine. You're just helping my analytics. So I'm just not going to respond to those comments. Simple as that. The other thing is there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, wow, if it's that bad, I'm not moving there. I don't want people to get the wrong impression about the video. I am not, under any circumstances, trying to tell people, do not move to the Philippines. It's fucking hell here. That is not the point of my video. I will never tell people, don't move here, because that is something for you to decide. The reality is the Philippines has a lot of things to offer. It's a lot of good stuff. I would say, in my opinion, my experience, it's a 50-50, okay? 50% pros, 50% cons. Overall, what you get out of it is up to you. If you're able to come over here and your financial situation allows you to live comfortably in a lifestyle that you're okay with, it's going to be lower than what you're used to, no matter what. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. It does not fucking matter how much money you have. Everything is going to be different here. That's just common sense. And because it doesn't matter how much money you've got, you want to live in one of these super nice, expensive, multi-million dollar houses or condos or something, you're still going to have to deal with the infrastructure. You're still going to have to deal with everything else that comes here. So that's just the way it is. I mean, that's expected in a developing country, right? You're not in the West, you're somewhere else. So you're going to have to deal with a lot of that stuff. So that's what I'm just trying to say is don't just all of a sudden say, fuck that, I'm not coming here. Because there's a lot to offer. What I've always explained in my earlier videos is before you move anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's here in the Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, wherever, go there, visit as a person looking for housing. You're not coming here as a tourist, staying in the hotels, eating at the restaurants. You want to get like an Airbnb, something local to the area where you're possibly thinking of wanting to live. And you're spending the majority of your time here on that trip looking up rentals. You're not actually looking for a place to live in because you're not ready to move in, but you're just kind of getting an idea. What do these places look like? What what are the things around? What's the neighborhood like? What's the pricing like? How comfortable is it going to be? Try and get a feel for that. Go to some of the local markets and the grocery stores, experience transportation, local style. If you're thinking because you got the money and you think you might want to get a vehicle, look and see what kind of pricing are you looking at? What type of insurance is available? How does insurance and coverage and all that affect a foreigner? How about getting your driver's license converted? Do you have something like the US where we just go down to the LTO? That's kind of like our DMV. You go down there with your US driver's license, you pay the fee, and that's it. You don't have to take any testing or anything like that. You just pay a fee and boom, you got a Filipino license. As long as you meet the requirements, you got to be a resident basically. Tourist isn't going to be allowed to do it. But for us, it's easy to get that license. If you come from another country like Britain, where your driving rules are a little bit different, you drive on the wrong side of the road, things like that, you might not be able to just do a straight conversion. They might actually require you to take some kind of a written or a practical test or something like that. But what I'm saying is get an idea of what it would be like to live here and experience it yourself so you can make your own decisions. I'm just providing my experience, and others are saying that they've had a completely different experience. Everybody's going to have differences. So come here on your own, try it out. Don't just immediately give up on it because of one or two people's bad experiences. So, falling on that thing though, a lot of people are responding in the comments that have lived here or do live here that are saying, yeah, I'm right. This is just something you're going to have to deal with. Other people are like, I live in the Philippines and I've never seen that in my life. Everything's perfect. I've got houses better than the US. The majority of people are saying that this is more along the standard, and then the everything is awesome and wonderful. It's like two or three people that are probably a couple being short. But again, the Philippines is not completely horrible. There's a lot of good stuff here. And while there are going to be issues with housing in certain places, again, doesn't matter how much money you've got, you're going to be dealing with certain things. But if you can adjust to that, if you're okay with that, if the rest of your lifestyle can be okay, then this is a great place to go. A good example is the weather. My disability is with my legs. I have injuries on my legs. Cold weather fucking hurts. As in, it hurts. It feels like somebody is crushing my legs, drilling into it with a drill. Like it's bad. That I experience pain all the time, but the cold makes it so much worse. I mean, it's a nightmare. Every minute of life when it's in the wintertime sucks. As in, like it's horrible. So coming somewhere like this where there is no snow, and when it rains it's not that cold, like it doesn't really get cold here. So I still have some issues with like the pressure and the weather and stuff during certain times, but it's not nearly as bad as the cold weather that I was experiencing before. So if you like the warmer weather, this is fine. And even during the summers, yeah, it can get kind of hot outside, but almost everywhere you go, your house maybe, or like the mall, restaurants, most of these places are going to have air conditioning or something like that. So it's not bad. Even when you're outside, once you get acclimated to it, it's not that bad. You know, there's a lot of places in the U.S. that can get a hell of a lot worse than this. I remember San Antonio was like 126 during the summer. It sucked. It was not good to be outside. Here, usually, I'm okay with it. It's not as bad as it seems, especially after you get, used to the weather here. But it's not as bad as some people are possibly making it out to be. Um, One of the other things, there are a couple of people that mentioned black mold. You know, they're saying that over above my air conditioning was black mold. No, that's not black mold. I don't and will never have black mold growing in my house. Okay, that's not mold. The air conditioner vents outwards, not upwards. So that can't be mold or something from the air conditioner venting upwards along the wall. What that is when the crew that came over to install the air conditioner, it used to have a hole in the wall, but the hole was too small for this size of air conditioner. They had to cut a bigger hole. And when they cut through the concrete, they use like a circular grinder. And when they're doing that, they're cutting vertically. And what's happening is, as they're cutting through the concrete, it's spewing sparks and shit all over my room, all over the place. Sparks that look like it's going to light the place on fire, you know. And that's what that black stuff is. If you look in the video closely enough, that's the char marks from all the sparks and stuff from their grinder. And I tried to hit it with a wet wipe and it wasn't coming off. But look, people are also mentioning like, oh, the unfinished concrete, it looks horrible. Why haven't I fixed it? Look, I've spent so much damn money fixing up shit in this house. The owners don't want to fix anything. We're going to try and move when we can afford it. But paint the fucking wall. I'm supposed to spend money out of my own pocket to paint the fucking wall. Come on. This isn't my house. I don't own this. And it's around an air conditioner in the corner of a storage room. It's not doing anything harmful or anything like that. The concrete stuff is dry. It just doesn't match the white paint. But there's other areas in the house here where the paint is bubbling off the wall because of the concrete getting wet, and it's basically causing the paint to bubble and peel off in places. I am not going to pay to go and repaint this stuff. That's just not going to happen. So, yeah, it don't look that great, but it's not causing problems. It's not like there's mold or anything coming from outside. So, it's not black mold, okay? That's char marks from their grinder. And second, I'm not going to repaint stuff in here when this isn't my house. If I plan to live here for a while, yeah, I'd probably have them paint it, but that's not it's something that's not my concern. So, look, I'm not a nasty turd living with black mold in my house, especially in a house where I've got kids, okay? I'm not a moron. I'm not going to have that. My house is generally clean. So, okay, that is not black mold. One of the other things that I'm getting is people are saying, like, what were you expecting moving to a place like that? Okay, so look at it like this. The majority of people that are going to be retiring, overseas included, the majority of people have never left their home country. They've never had a passport, okay? And for a lot of us that have traveled, we have had the luxury of being able to go overseas at some point as a tourist, not just, military or work, but as a tourist, been able to afford going to another country like that. It's just not that common, okay? The reality is the majority of people have never left their home country. For Americans, most Americans have never even been to Mexico or Canada, let alone going off somewhere else. Maybe they had money to fly to Hawaii or something, but you don't have to have a passport for that, or at least you didn't before all the 9/11 and all that. But you see, I mean, so the majority of people that are watching these videos have never been overseas. They've never seen any of this stuff. They can't even imagine this stuff exists. It's not something that they would think of. Maybe out in Zimbabwe or something where people live in mud huts or something, you can think, okay, yeah, that place sucks. But somewhere like here, you're like, well, they got skyscrapers and shopping malls. How is it they don't have hot water, right? It's just not something you think about. I've been here before. I knew what it was like. I knew what to expect, but that's just it. There are just certain things that it's not that, oh, that's just the way it is. No, it's the stuff that I was talking about, like the trash pickup, the bad water, that stuff that's on the government. This is not acceptable. This is not the way things should be in 2024. Even for a developing country, this is just not the way it should be. This is on the government, okay? They're the ones slacking off. And that's where I wasn't expecting it, because when I was here 20 years ago, it was like this. And I had expected things to be improved since it's developing. I'd expected things to be even just a little bit better after 20 years. No, it's basically the same as it was. Internet services are better now. You know, back then it was just PLDT with, if you were lucky, you got, uh, you had dial up, or in some places you might have had DSL, but now internet is pretty good. You got fiber almost all over the place now. So things like that have improved, but water, power, that's still back in the 80s. Okay. And, it's, again, why am I here? I'm not going to cover that in this video. I've already done videos talking about my background, my situation, and why I chose to come to the Philippines, and just, my low income, why this whole situation. But short story is, I'm a disabled veteran. And back in like 2018, 2019, I was going to college and I had work on the side. I was making 3,000 at least per month. Wasn't great and amazing, but as a full-time college student that's just doing a side hustle for different contract work, I was doing okay. For where I was living at, I was doing okay. Doing, 3,000 to 3,200 a month or so. I wasn't doing that bad. Things were going okay. And I was looking at getting really good employment when I got out of college. Then the doctors at the VA told me I got to quit school. I'm not able to work. My medical problems need to be addressed, and I'm not able to do that kind of stuff. And I lost the majority of my income. So I went from 3,000 or so a month down to like 800 a month. And I think by the time I moved here to the Philippines, I was making 875 a month. It was not enough to survive. Literally survive. Not just can't live comfortably. It's not enough money to survive. So I didn't have many options, and I knew things were cheaper in the Philippines. I've been talking to people online, getting pricing for like groceries and rent and stuff, and crunching the numbers, and it looked like it might actually be possible to survive there and regroup, kind of think over what I need to do. So that was why I came here and why I'm here on my limited income. Now, over the years, I got married, I had a kid, so that kind of increased my pay a little bit, COLA increases and all that. I had a small rating increase. So just in the last 4.5 years, my pay went from $875 a month to $1,255 a month. So it is helping, but relatively, $1,200 a month is not much, especially when you're supporting a family. So here in the Philippines, we have money, but it's not that much. So we have to live on limited means, which means the house and everything is not that great. You guys so far have only seen the small room. This is supposed to be like a converted bedroom that we're instead using as my computer office and storage, right? This is just one room of our whole house. You haven't seen the rest of our house, so I'll have to do some videos on that. But pretty much, I think that's the majority of the comments that I'm going to be addressing in this video. The main thing is that I really want to stress, I'm not trying to tell people don't move here. I'm not trying to put that video out there to scare people away and to not come here. There's a lot that the Philippines has to offer, and if you have the money, if you have a good enough income where you can afford better housing conditions, some of these problems you probably won't have to deal with. It depends on where you live and the barangay, municipality, whoever it is. It's, your homeowners association, your subdivision, like whatever your situation is for housing, you might have better conditions than this. You might not have the water issues. You're still going to have to drink purified water you buy separate. You don't drink the tap water unless, again, you got the money to go and install like an inline water filter, but that's not typical. Okay, the standard is you buy your water separate. But what I mean is there's a lot of good things living here, and it's definitely something I would recommend you at least try it. Come over and take a look for yourself. If you come over here and you still are like, nah, no, that is not for me. Okay, try Thailand or Singapore or wherever else you want to try and go. There are pros and cons to everywhere. If you come over here and you're like, it's not that bad. With your finances and your lifestyle that you're okay with, you've found an area where, yeah, it's not that bad because there are places here that aren't that bad if you've got the money. If you're like me, where you're on a much more limited income and you're going to have to do things on the cheap, it's going to be challenging to find places where you don't deal with these problems constantly. And that's just something I want to explain is if you're on a low income and you're staying back in the US or something, chances are you simply won't be able to survive. You get a studio apartment in a shitty part of town where there's rats, it's nasty. You might be able to survive, but that means no smoking, no drinking, no nothing. Your diet's going to suck. You're going to probably gain a lot of weight or maybe lose weight because you're not eating that much food anymore. But you know what I'm saying? It's going to be very miserable. You come over here, still going to have issues to deal with, but at least you can have a little bit more semblance of normalcy in a sense. So there's trade-offs. So I don't want people to think, don't move here because of what I was saying in my video. That's not the message I was trying to put out there. So again, if anybody has any more comments or questions or anything like that, feel free to post them. But the main thing is that video got a hell of a lot more views and responses than I was expecting. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I know there's a YouTube channel called Legion of Men. I've seen some of the stuff that he's done before, where he like reviews a video somebody else has posted about living in places like this cheap. I've seen that, and apparently he reviewed that video. Um, yeah, so it's got a lot more views than I was expecting, and with all those views comes a lot of the negative feedback and stuff. It's just the way it is. Uh, the main thing that for me that's important is hopefully that information is out there for people. Again, I'm not saying don't move here. I'm just saying when you do decide to come over here, just be prepared to deal with some of that stuff and learn to adapt. So that's pretty much it. That's just what I wanted to cover for this. I'm going to be doing more videos again, probably do a couple of them today while I still have the opportunity. But yeah, let me know for comments and feedback. And thanks for watching, even for you trolls that are doing your negative comments, your dislikes, and all that. Hey, you're helping my analytics, I guess. So thanks.